Paparazzi House.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining this wonderful podcast, Dr. Alain. Great. We studied together, ESC Clermont, for the DBA program. I learned a lot from you during this program. So you have amazing track record in the IT, cybersecurities, and stuff like. I heard that more than 27 years of experience in the industry. It is really amazing. So you have undergone a lot of corporate challenges. You have faced it. Then probably this is an amazing thing to teach to the younger generation. How did you face it, and how they have to be groomed in a way where they could able to manage the corporate power dynamics. So welcome to the podcast. So can you kindly share your background, like probably in terms of credentials and experience, and your passion as well?
Thank you, Dr. Ram, and it was a pleasure to meet you also, and during the doctorate degree. And even though it's a few years back, but I feel that we know each other since a long time. A long time indeed. I've been in the IT and cybersecurity, more than 25 plus years. I stopped counting. So yes, I've seen a lot of different companies. I work with a lot of different companies, a lot of different cultures, because my experience went through the GCC, and I've been working also with Europe, with African companies, across the Middle East. So I've noticed there's this trend of some cultures are more leaning towards decisiveness, towards being taking decisions fast, and some cultures are more passionate, more emotionally intelligent, and they prefer a different way to handle things. So I've seen it all. I've had my fair share of power plays, and these happened a few times in my career.
Interesting. So you have very polishedly put across, how different set of people handle the power dynamics. So have you come across any such power issues in the sense like probably corporate jungle, like a lot of lions and foxes, but how did you encounter any such incidences where maybe it we learned over a period of time, but like initially when we face it, sometimes we are lost, we have no support from others, and we are right, they are not able to understand our long term thinking process, strategic or maybe financial decisions what we take for the better for the company. Probably the immediate boss or somebody's in the head office not able to understand that. So did you struggle to manage such powerful power issues or power dynamics, some situation like that?
In my case, it happened to me twice. The first time I was still a junior engineer, working hard, trying to push through corporate ranks. And the way it happened, it was out of my control, but I was not really aware about what's happening. And I just faced the decision out of a sudden. Um, the manager was friends with a powerful shareholder, and that shareholder asked the manager to hire one of his relatives. This I knew later, um, and will maybe explain this later during the podcast. Um, so instead of me being promoted to a manager, they decided that they would hire this person to become my manager, and he had no real experience in my field and my work, right? I tried to make things work, but of course it didn't work out because he had a different way of doing things and seeing things, being outside the realm of my job. And unfortunately, I had to take a decision and leave. And that was the first time that I felt that I was powerless in face of that power play, in face of something that was discussed in the background outside maybe the office, and I could not detect the signals. I could not see that something is coming my way. The second time it happened, it was a kind of planned um, decision by someone to start using politics and weaving, those politics around me about, the job, etc. And it led to a lot of negative issues in the office later on. So I would say that, a power dynamics in a company is a very critical thing to see and detect and manage. You need to manage it early on in order to avoid it becoming, you know, unmanageable and leading to negative consequences. So every one of us will face that power play. We work with people, and people, as you said, they have different personalities and different behaviors and different agendas and different way of thinking and acting. So you face this everywhere you go. But the issue is you have to know how to handle it. That's the power dynamics, the power game, I would say.
So very interesting. I'm taking one step back. Like in a situation, sometimes we're not aware about the red flags, right? And it happened in the junior level when you were there. Suddenly, somebody else doesn't have that regional experience, or maybe the domain expertise is sitting as a manager above me. So, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of expectation from my side. I want to be the manager. I have all the track record, proven track record. So it shows that I'm completely capable. But due to the power issues, I've not been promoted number one. Suddenly, okay, in that case, I could able to some extent I could digest that. But somebody's coming out of the blue and suddenly he's started controlling me. That I may not able to like digest it because it's like a double like bomb on my head. So as a junior, probably it's very difficult to digest. My only first decision is to leave the organization, but we don't know the competition in outside salary packages, offer letters. So that's again a different rat race, right? So how do you handle the situation where probably how did you handle it? Because bite the bullet, you need to literally, yes, it's okay, it happened, but I'll try to prove again myself to my line manager or my boss. So who could able to at least recognize me little later, not immediately. But eventually I missed the bus, right? This time I need to be promoted, but not happened. So I'm literally frustrated. So a kind of a person who is like a junior who is literally facing the situation, what is your suggestion how they need to face it so that they are recognized, or maybe they just need to move forward in their career? What is your suggestion on that?
I would say it's very important for even a junior employee who's starting his or her journey to know, at least to know about power dynamics, to really understand that in the field or in the company that they're working in, there will be power dynamics, there will be power games, there will be, you know, people who try to manage or control others. There are people who try to find intelligent ways to go around solutions. So it's the first step is knowing that it exists and understanding how it works so that you can see what you can do. As you mentioned, sometimes it's not easy to take that decision, that drastic decision, but you have to take a decision on what to do, because once you detect there's something happening or will happen or may happen, you need to know what options do you have. So part of the power dynamics in a team is where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? And how can you act to be there? How can you reach that level of authority or position or promotion? There's a way, there's always a way. But if you don't know about the power dynamics that is happening, you may take a wrong decision. You may take a wrong road. You may not find the solution to reach that position that you want to be at, right? So in this case, you cannot take an emotional response. You cannot take an emotional, you know, action. You have to think, you have to know what options do you have, and then take action on it. That's very important.
Do we probably, yes, one is taking action, understanding the situation, power issues, but on the junior level there is no such educational platform to understand. There's no learning
Unfortunately,
platform to understand.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of a system where we talk a lot about power issues or organizational behavior and culture.
Mhm.
It's a very very small module in the HR you learn in the, that's also the MBA level maybe, I guess. So maybe a doctor who learned full medicine, or an engineer who talks a lot about, who studied a lot about different technologies and stuff like, will not have a chance to learn this issue, how to manage people, how to talk to, or how to understand, or how to interpret different culture, right? And how to be more connecting with the people rather than just business or the official talks. So there's a lot of things we probably as a again, like this generation is always go with the Insta, and I'm not blaming that social media influence, but probably 90% of the eye is not watching person, the mobile phone, where you don't have a chance to interact. I don't know who you are unless until I'm interacting with you, and I don't know how you react unless until there's a critical situation between you and me. So we are losing this human interaction over a period of time, and probably that influence a lot on the power dynamics, because I don't know how others are going to react unless until I don't know the culture, right? Because city like Dubai, city like London, maybe city like New York, where you meet different nationalities and stuff like, so where uh, in one culture it is like accepted, other culture it is like offensive, probably on that context. uh, so how do we influence? That's what probably the main challenging is, like, I need to grow in the organization, I need to grow in my business and career, yes, but I am not sure how to do that by myself. So do I use informal structure, so I influence others through some maybe relationship? I build a good relationship with my line manager, so instead of hiring someone from outside, so he recognize me quickly, because he not only see my work, he is seeing my like my personality, he understand who I am, my intentions. So otherwise we don't have the like we don't have that kind of a room to showcase my, what you call, the personality, my intentions, right? So I'm not connecting the person one to one. So that might be a challenge for any of these generations who face the issues. So what is your suggestion? Maybe probably you don't get the red flags, you don't you cannot resign the job, but how we could able to manage the situation by relationship building? Is it something which we need to focus now?
As an engineer, I would say I was trained, and probably all engineers are trained in university to find a solution to a problem. We have a problem, let's find a solution. And that also has a solution. Everything has a solution in life, right? That solution would be, first, if you don't know about the power dynamics, learn about the power dynamics. Ask more senior people, get a training, get an informal coaching from someone you know or trust. Um, and then start learning about this. Some people are naturally inclined towards sales jobs. They're open, they're extrovert, they like to contact or connect with people. And some people are introverts. They like to sit alone and think, strategize. So this is again the personality of people. But the majority of the people sometimes find themselves in a setting and a company, especially if they're still young, starting their careers, kind of lost. They observe, but they don't know what to do. They have a hard manager, tough manager, or somebody who's lenient and not taking decisions. So they can observe and learn, but this is the longer path to learn, right? And this is maybe what happened during my first year or my first years in my career, where I was observing and doing the technical part of the job, what I had to do, but I was not looking at or considering or giving enough attention to that power dynamics and the personal part of the company. A company has the scope of work and it has the personal part. This personal part, as you rightly mentioned, is not taught, is not given to people. They don't even know about it, or they don't even understand the whole dynamics. They understand some types of personalities and how to deal with them based on their experience in school, in university, at home, with friends and family. But this is only the tip of the iceberg of a corporate setting. A corporate setting is more advanced in terms of power play, that you have people vying for power, vying for authority, vying to be promoted, etc. Those people are usually more senior than the junior ones. So it's very important to train yourself, read about it, understand it, and start applying it. That's the key word. If you don't apply and take action, you're still an observer and you do nothing, and you will pay the price ultimately because others are moving forward. It's a race moving forward. Everybody's, trying to do something better and, find a better balance or being promoted faster or better. But if you're still an observer, you reach nowhere and you'll pay the price in promotion. You'll pay the price in, you know, being seen in the company, right? So it's very, very important to take action when you see things. And this, we talk about, detecting or finding things that are not quite right. Hmm? So after you spend a, f- a few, I would say a few years in a company, you start understanding the who's who, who's powerful, who has the authority, who has the presence, and who has not reached that authority and presence. And you start seeing some patterns. If you can detect those patterns, who does what, and then you see the change, then you can start acting on those changes, right? Um, the moment you detect something wrong or something not quite right, you need to take action. Now, the action that you take should depend on where you are in terms of seniority, where you are in terms of authority, where you are in terms of your career, because at different levels, you are permitted to take different types of actions, different decisions, different reactions, different behavior. A CEO cannot take a decision or behave the same as a junior employee. Junior employees have maybe better flexibility to make mistakes. If a CEO makes a mistake, it would cost the company so much money, right? Wrong investment, etc., etc. So it depends on your seniority and your authority, and you have to gauge, you have to estimate what options do you have and when to take that decision. Very important.
So one is to react, yes, right? Understand. Don't be like maybe non-reactive because you need to move forward, grow in their corporate ladder, right? Maybe you need to move forward onto it. So that is one side. Yes, I need to react to it. Second, you said about the alerts. Red alert. There's some changes and stuff like, and we could able to see good and bad now in front of me, right? There's a set of managers. They're really good. Again, good and bad in the context of company, like for the better for the company, like vision. You rightly said the CEO's bad decision collapsing the company. So probably I put it on that context rather than personal, like maybe um, preferences, right? I'm not judging a person who don't like me is bad. A person is bad, he is not good for the company in the sense like overall he's not able to enhance the company's performance is bad, right? Put it on that way. So in this situation I need to react. So there's a gray area where I don't know how things are moving around. I don't know, I'm lost because recurrently I am performing well, there's no recognition. I'm seeing set of managers, they're really good for the company. There are set of managers, they have their personal intention and expectations. So as a person, maybe I have two options with me. One is to interact with the person who is like good, genuinely good, straightforward. Second is a bit more foxes, right? They perform equally good. Maybe the sales, they could able to attend two meetings, all cracked because they know how to, influence the customers and the whole process and stuff like. So lead conversion is quite easy for them. And but the intentions, their personal agenda is always on the top rather than maybe like the company's agenda. So, as a person, who do I interact more to be more friendly or to be in their network, the good or the other side? And what do I expect from them? Um they need to mentor them or they need to grow me. There are two things. I learn based on their experiences so that I could able to grow by myself, or I just put across I need to be the next manager, please promote me. I influence to the core, right? So what is your thought on that? Because this is a challenge. We talk about ethical leadership where we, it's a gray area again. Like, see, we've been like provoked, then we react. Most of the time it's wrong, so it backfires us. Sometimes people lose a job, sometimes people not promoted, sometimes we are not recognized frequently, or we've been cornered, isolated, sometimes in the system itself. So as a person who is like, maybe first time getting into the corporate culture, maybe I have two options. So which one I need to choose and probably move forward so that my sustainability is assured, not just the fantasy of ethical leadership. I just need to sustain by myself. I need to move forward in the corporate later, because people studied with me is like, on different position now. So how do I enhance my position? What is your thought on that, please?
Depends on where you are and the type of the position where you are. Some positions require you to be decisive, confident, taking action, and that's usually the type of persons that are labeled as powerful or they have presence, or as you rightly said, lions. Other type of people who are facing customers in customer support or sales or in creative or in marketing, where there's a lot of nuances and a lot of colors beyond black and white, as you mentioned. They have to be malleable, they have to be flexible, creative, communicative, intelligent to maybe find a solution in a second or say something good in front of a customer in a meeting setting within 2 seconds. So they have to be really intelligent and sharp. And that's where foxes come into play, right? So if you are dealing with that position, if you're among the creative or sales or marketing departments, you need to become a fox, learn how to be a fox, not to outsmart others, but to play with others, to fit in. If you are in a position where you need to take a decision, not necessarily at a very high level, but even at a lower level, you need to have the mentality, to have the behavior of a lion. You have to be strict, you have to be decisive, confident, take a decision, knowing that there is a risk in taking that decision, but take responsibility for it. So you have a different character, or you are dealing with a different character, and you can learn from that lion how he or she is decisive, says, I want this, I want to do this, I don't want to do this, etc., and learn from it. This is how you get yourself trained. Now, to get promoted, as you mentioned, to progress, you have to play with those two and maybe other personalities in the company. And there's nobody that is purely a lion or purely a fox or another type of behavior. There are people who have nuances between the two, and these are usually the middle managers where they have enough flexibility to manage a team of creative people, intelligent people, but they know how to handle or discuss with the executives who are usually on more on the lion side of things. They're decisive, they're powerful. Otherwise, you will have an imbalance in the company. If you have an intelligent person who knows how to discuss and communicate, but who doesn't know how to take a decision when he or she needs to take a decision, that's a problem. He or she is seen as weak, as indecisive, not up to the level, and vice versa. If you have somebody who's very strict, very hard to deal with, who has this type of inflexible behavior and you put them in a position of creativity and customer contact, they would drive away your customers and they would not close the deals and they would not, you know, represent the company in a good way. So you need to make sure that you have the right character and the right position in the right department. And this is where you have to balance. Usually this is done on a strategic level by the HR department, where once they see and evaluate people, they need to give them the progression path based on their capabilities, based on their intellect, and based on their personality. This is how you balance the company. This is where you put the right person at the right place. If you have a weak HR department that does not see these things and that who do not take action, then you have an imbalanced company and all sorts of problems happen. I've seen this before where you had one kind of dominant manager. He rose through the ranks, but then he had an agenda, as you mentioned, and then he did not coach his subordinates, and then he wanted to progress more and more, and he created a lot of problems around him horizontally across the company, and then he left. This cost the company lost revenues, lost costs to replace him, lack of responsibility from his team because they did not have the authority to take decisions. So he created a gap, and this gap cost the company a lot of time and chaos and expenses to replace him and to get back on track with the customers.
So here, I understand. There are two things here. One is like the dependency, creating a dependency. That is a kind of a leadership skill. Maybe people should know who I am.
Yeah.
Based on my skill sets. That's good. So is it the responsibility of the company who should recognize this kind of a leaders, highly capable, right? And who would able to like, is they like a go-getters or meeting the P&Ls properly, managing their team. Training, mentoring is one part. Yes, must be there, but certain time people running under the the race, so probably don't have the time. So maybe some excuses on one side if there's a thing. Uh, Maybe on the other side, you rightly said that he didn't groom the next level. So it's a challenge for the organization itself rather than maybe his challenge because his intentions might be different or expectations might be different. So why the management didn't retain him? Because you said he left and there's a chaos and probably the revenue has been affected. So management should know about this, should be aware about it, and they should be able to forecast about this. Maybe the situation if he's going out this, probably unless until we have a proper succession or somebody is going to take over the position, probably I feel maybe it's a fault of the management, maybe a bit of onto it.
In that case specifically, um, the right action was not taken. So the manager left because he wanted to progress fast. He wanted to leave, and his superiors did not know how to manage this power play. They know they have a very capable manager, but he was pushing around and creating all kinds of, power plays in the office. So his superior did not know how to handle him, how to retain him, how to um, you know guide him into benefiting from his abilities for the company instead of letting him go outside of the company, right?
It's wonderful insights, Alain. Probably it's a lot of learning from your experience and the insights you shared to the younger generation. I hope this amazing podcast is going to uh, create a lot of awareness, on the power plays and the power dynamics in the corporate jungle. Maybe put it on that way. Thank you so much for sharing these wonderful insights, and hopefully we will reconnect for the upcoming podcast as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ram, for the invitation. It has been a pleasure. It has been a good discussion. A lot of topics that maybe we can revisit later on. I'll be happy to discuss this in more detail later on. Thank you for the invitation, and all the best of luck in your subsequent podcasts. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.